Every few months I see the same posts on X. It's starting. Altseason is here. But then Bitcoin dominance climbs again. Altcoins bleed against BTC and everyone goes quiet. So what's really going on? Why hasn't this cycle delivered the wild altcoin gains we've seen before? Let me explain all of this, because the answer says a lot about where we are in the crypto cycle and what might be coming next. Hey everyone, I've spent the past few weeks going through on-chain data, social metrics and market structure to understand why Altseason still hasn't arrived in 2025 and when it realistically could. As always, this video isn't financial advice. It's just my opinion based on data and experience from past market cycles. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We try to get to 10K subscribers before year's end, and your help is highly appreciated. Alright, let's get into it. So, the first reason is actually hiding in plain sight: Bitcoin's dominance. Since early 2024, Bitcoin has completely dominated the market. Right now, it controls around 60% of the total crypto market cap, the highest since 2017. That means almost 2 out of every $3 in crypto are sitting in BTC. And honestly, it makes sense. This has been an institutional Bitcoin cycle. Spot ETFs brought billions of dollars into BTC. Wall Street trusts Bitcoin. It's simple, liquid, and it's the one crypto that can actually justify owning to their investors. But all that money flowing into Bitcoin means one thing: there's not much left for the rest of the market. When the biggest asset in the space soaks up all the liquidity, altcoins starve. Now, combine that with the macroeconomic backdrop. This is probably the most underrated reason Altseason hasn't happened yet. We're still in a quantitative tightening phase. Interest rates are high. The Fed's balance sheet is shrinking and liquidity is being drained from the global system. That's the opposite of what we had in 2020 and 2021, when stimulus checks, zero rates, and money printing fueled the biggest altcoin mania we've ever seen. When cash is cheap and easy, people speculate. When cash is expensive, they don't. And right now, money is expensive. So it's not that altcoins suddenly lost potential. It's that investors don't feel like gambling while borrowing costs are high. As long as that macro pressure stays, Bitcoin will continue to be safe crypto play, and altcoins will lag behind. Now here's something interesting from the on-chain data. There's liquidity, but it's not moving. Stablecoin supplies near record highs. There's roughly $200 billion worth of stablecoins sitting across exchanges and wallets. But instead of flowing into alts, that money is parked on the sidelines. Think of it like a dam holding back a river. There's plenty of water, but until someone opens the gate, meaning until monetary policy shifts or retail excitement returns, it's not going to flood into the altcoin market. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Glassnode data shows stablecoin velocity is low. People are holding USDT and USDC rather than spending or swapping. Even DeFi metrics reflect it. Total value locked across chains is still way below 2021 levels. The capital exists, but it's cautious. To me, this is one of the biggest clues that Altseason isn't dead, just dormant. That cash pile is basically gunpowder. The question is, what lights it? Next, we have the simplest and probably most painful reason. Retail never came back. Look at social metrics. YouTube views for crypto content are down. Reddit threads are quiet. Google searches for Bitcoin or altcoins are still 70 to 80% below bull market peaks. In other words, the casual investors, the ones who buy meme coins, chase pumps, and drive mania, are still missing. And you can't have an Altseason without them. I think a lot of that comes down to trauma from 2022. That cycle burned people badly. They lost money in Luna, Celsius, FTX, you name it. So when prices started recovering in 2023 and 2024, most retail traders just didn't trust it. And recent crashes this year, especially most recent ones in October, only made this worse. And even now in late 2025, Retail prefers Bitcoin and ETFs because they feel safer. That tells me sentiment hasn't flipped yet. We're not in that euphoric, everything is pumping phase. We're in the cautious, I'll just stick with Bitcoin phase. Until retail floods back in, until people are talking about meme coins at family dinners again, I don't think we can call it a real alt season. Altcoins have been bleeding against Bitcoin for over 3 years. Since 2021, the total alt BTC ratio has dropped steadily from around 0.70 to about 0.35, and some analysts think it needs to hit 0.25 before a full rotation can start. That's happened before, in 2019 and 2020. Altcoins also bottomed around that same ratio before exploding in following months. Right now, Ethereum, the leader of altcoins, is struggling against BTC. The ETH BTC pair has been near its lowest level in years. That alone is a huge signal. Historically, Altseason doesn't begin until ETH starts outperforming Bitcoin. So, until Ethereum wakes up, the rest of the market probably won't either. But here's the twist. Once that rotation finally starts, it can happen fast. In 2017, it took only a few weeks after Bitcoin peaked for altcoins to go parabolic. In 2021, it was about 3 to 4 months. So, once the rotation happens, it tends to snowball quickly. Another thing nobody really talks about, there are just too many coins now. Back in 2017, there were maybe 13,000 tokens in existence. In 2021, that number jumped to 2.5 million. Now, in 2025, it's around 40 million. Actually, this is a few months old data now. So, there are for sure even more than 40 million coins right now. That's insane. And it's a big reason why we don't see explosive across the board rallies anymore. Every week, thousands of new meme coins and pre-sales launch, dividing liquidity and attention into smaller and smaller slices. So, even if there's hype around a few projects, it's diluted almost instantly. One day, everyone's talking about AI tokens, then DeepIn, then gaming, then RWA, then privacy coins. The rotation is too fast and too scattered for a collective alt season to form. Basically, too many options, not enough liquidity. That's also why this cycle feels so different. Instead of one giant coordinated mania, we're getting dozens of small ones. ICP 1 month, Tau the next, Zcash after that, but never the synchronized explosion across the board. Now, does that mean alt season is cancelled? I don't think so. If history is any guide, we're still missing one last piece of the puzzle, the liquidity expansion. Every major alt season in history has happened after the macro tide turned. In 2017, it followed years of easy money. In 2021, it followed trillions in stimulus. So if quantitative tightening really does end in December, and the Fed starts signaling cuts or even small liquidity injections next year, that could be the moment we've been waiting for. If liquidity expands again, stablecoins will start moving, risk appetite will rise, and retail will come back chasing yield and hype. And here's my personal opinion. I think the next alt season won't look like 2021. It'll be smaller, more selective, and driven by utility. The meme era will still perhaps have its moments, but real adoption, AI, DeepIn, and on-chain finance will lead the pack. When that happens, Bitcoin dominance will finally start to roll over, and you'll see capital rotate into the strongest ecosystems. First Ethereum, Solana, and maybe other players like ICP and Tau. So, let's zoom out. Every cycle follows a rhythm. Bitcoin runs first, then Ethereum and the majors follow. Then smaller altcoins explode as retail piles in. Finally, the bubble bursts and everything resets. Right now, we're still in that early to mid phase. Bitcoins run, dominance high, liquidity cautious. Alt season comes later, when the fear is gone and greed takes over. And even though this cycle feels slower, I think it's just stretched by institutions and policy. The structure is the same, only the tempo has changed. So yeah, alt season hasn't happened yet. And one good thing about that is that it means the biggest fireworks might still be ahead. My take: stay observant. Watch Bitcoin dominance, stablecoin flows, and retail sentiment. Because once those three start shifting together, that's when the real alt season begins. Until then, this market belongs to Bitcoin. Alright, that's it for today. I hope this gave you some clarity on what's actually happening beneath the surface. If you learned something new, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment on what altcoins you think could lead the next rotation. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.